Good afternoon, Network Empire. This is Mike Clay, and today I am joined with Matt DeCruz and Sue Bell. Hey guys, how y'all doing today?
Hey Mark, how's it going? Morning everybody.
Hi everybody.
So, guys, today we're going to dive head first into Krakken and just kind of go through Krakken. And a lot of people haven't seen the new version of Krakken, and even more people aren't really sure where Krakken fits into the whole digital marketing arena. So Sue, I believe today you were going to just kind of walk us through it from beginning to end and show us the path. Is that what the idea is?
Yeah, so today, this is the first time I've really tried to explain it to anybody, so this will be fun. And so we'll just start at the beginning. We'll work our way through all of the screens. I drilled into some stuff based off of the webinar yesterday, and that gives us a good playground. A lot of the rest of my drills are pretty old, in that we've made some behind-the-scenes kind of changes in the last 30 to 45 days. And so, so I don't want to dig too deep into some of the other drills that I've got because I don't know how the data is going to come back. So I'll stick to the new cluster that I've got, but this is the cluster screen where you can see all of your clusters. And so from here, obviously you can delete.
Can you increase the size of your screen just a little bit, like one or two?
We'll try. Come on.
Magnify.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Sure. So over here you can see the TSMV. So the TSMV, for those of you who don't know, is the total search market value. It's an annual look at what the keywords are worth. And we value the keywords by the number of searches, the organic searches, times the pay-per-click cost. Because if you're willing to pay X amount of dollars for a keyword, then chances are high you're still making a profit off of that. So it gives you a ballpark thumb suck of what a keyword value is.
That actually just kind of lets us see, I mean, why is it important to know that value?
Well, it gives you an idea, a comparative value of where the money's flowing in the markets. So the idea when you're on the cluster screen, a cluster is a collection of themes, and a theme is a collection of related keywords. So when you're looking at a cluster, at the total search market value for a cluster, for example, this gives you an idea of how much money is represented by the keywords in these 5 themes for the niche of keto, right, which is a particular kind of diet. So then there's other things, like when you're looking at a single theme for bicycle, like that, just a single theme really doesn't tell you anything. It's one drill. No. It's like you're not even scratching the surface yet. So I did several drills since yesterday on we talked on, for those of you who weren't with us on the webinar yesterday, we were talking about creating a product that combines a smart scale with a smart watch or a smart band. And so I drilled into several concepts in there, which we'll take a look at in a minute. And just the 7 or so themes that I've got going on there, the TSMV is really a pretty good size, $1.5 million, right? I need an extra cup of coffee there. Yeah, $1 million.
Billion.
Billion.
It's
with a B.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Yeah. $1 billion.
So if you can afford to buy all the pay-per-click in that market, why are you working?
Right?
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
So that looks like a pretty interesting niche that we might have stumbled into yesterday. And then, I've got other things going on, but most of the rest of these, they've just got one theme per pop, so it's not in particularly interesting. But you can kind of get a feel, like the idea behind a cluster is if you've got a client or if you've got a project, typically I put all of the drills for that client, or at least for that project for that client, in a single cluster so that I can look in there and see what's going on. What were you going to say, Mike?
The exception I would have to putting all the ones for a single client in one is if they have two dynamically different markets within their business, and I would split those two markets up
Absolutely.
into different things. Now, the one question I know people are thinking, and that people that are going to watch the replay are going to think, is, well, how many themes should I have in here? So, guys,
Well,
let's just talk a minute about how deep down the rabbit hole they should go, and how deep is too deep.
well, I guess, can I jump in your section?
Yeah.
I want to throw a warning in. If you chase the Kraken, it's going to grab you, and you're going to get lost. It's going to drag you down into the deep, dark depths of data analysis. You'll be one forever. Yeah, you'll be fighting for a bunk. What you want to do, guys, when you think about a cluster, think of a market and almost like a pie, and you want to cut this up into segments. So the way to see that is when you take all your clients' keywords that are closely related, if they're tangent ideas or ideas that don't fit into a cluster, split them into two clusters and rather do two drills, but group your keywords that are similar, okay, and related, and then you put them in, you drill them, and then what that does is it exposes where the money flows, so you can see where money is going across the markets. You can see what people are paying really high amounts on certain things, and what's the competition for that, and then also you can get a feel for all the important words that are within each of those client keywords, because you can drill deeper down into them as well. Don't make the mistake of drilling a keyword and seeing something else that's slightly tangent and drilling into that and then drilling into another one. We typically call it silo surfing. What happens is if you don't stay focused and pay attention to what you're drilling down into, you could drill down like 5, 6, 7, 8 layers, and you can start getting into very strange different ideas that are sitting on the edges. So what I say to the guys when they do these type of drills is pay attention to your co-occurrence and only drill into certain bands. We got co-occurrence in Krakken, Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if your co-occurrence has got a very low layer, you can sort of think of co-occurrence as a big round pool. And when you throw a stone in the water, where that stone lands in the center of that pool, that's where you got your typical synonyms, very highly related keywords. Then as those rings go further and further out to the edges of the pool, on the edges are the words that are very far apart from each other. They're sort of tangent. They're related somehow, but they're far away in the distance. And what you want to do is you want to sort of stay within a co-occurrence band when you're drilling deeper down and adding keywords. Can you guys give me a one if that makes sense?
Yeah, the biggest reason why you don't want to go too far afield is when we get into the competitive analysis, you get radically different competitors, and you can't tell the apples from the oranges at that point. So if you want to think about it in terms of, I want to stay focused on this particular concept, and you'll see this a little bit in that I've gone into both scales and smart bands, smart scales and smart watches in this one cluster. And so we can look at that and decide whether or not that was a mistake, right? So you'll see this as we start to unravel and show you what's going on here. So so right now, I just hit the cluster, right? So I'm at the cluster overview screen where you see all the different themes. And the cool thing about this is, remember, this entire cluster is worth $1.5 billion. So now we can come in here and we can see how that $1.5 billion splits out, right? So here at a mere $500,000, we've got smart fitness equipment, and that's like the smallest one out of the lot. $1.5 million, we've got wireless scales, Wi-Fi scales, and I don't know if this is actually all to do with the scale that I wanted, because I'm just so completely shocked that that this theme is at $1.5 million and that this theme is at $10 million. That just seems disproportionate to me, since they're basically synonyms, at least in my mind. And so, and then we're looking at smart watches and Fitbits, and like that's I need to take a look in the Fitbit themes. I just drilled all of these. I haven't actually gone in and looked because I wanted you guys to experience the thoughts that go through my head. But I'm intrigued to know what's in the Fitbit theme, because if this is all really truly about Fitbit, they have really cornered the market. If the whole smartwatch market is worth 360 million and Fitbit is worth 210 million, that would be amazing. So you can kind of get a feel here, just at a glance, how the money is breaking out in these different ideas. The other thing that I look at, which is intriguing to me, is the max cost per click. So you got the average cost per click, and most of these aren't too far out of a line with each other. They're all under $5, between $1 and $5. But as you look at the max cost per click, we've got some of these that, this is probably the same keyword, at $30, and then we've got, you know, a $38 and a $27, and then we've got all the way down to a $7. So what that is telling me, if I look at wireless scales at $7 and Wi-Fi scales at $12, and I don't think I have another scale concept. So this is really the whole wireless scale, which seems to me to be kind of an emerging market based off the cost per click, where I see a similar sort of a thing in Painfinder yesterday, because it only brought back one question. But the other possibility is smart watches are just more expensive, right? You can get smart watches in the $30 to $40, but most of them are in the 80 to way the heck up there. I mean, I've seen them for $500 and $600. So it could just be that there's more money in smart watches, period. Or it could be that the smart scales are still just really brand new and they don't have a huge market share yet. So we'll dig into this and we'll kind of get a feel more about that a little bit more today in terms of whether or not it's an emerging market, and definitely as we go on the next week or two in our Tuesday webinars. All right. So let's take a look. Let's start with a Fitbit, because that just really fascinates the heck out of me. I want to see if the majority of the Fitbit stuff is actually Fitbit oriented. So it's fascinating to me. So this tells me about the keywords in this theme, right? The larger the circle, can you guys see that okay? Because it's kind of a gray on gray.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So the larger the circle, the more market share it has. In other words, Fitbit is the center keyword, and you're comparing all of the other keywords in this theme to Fitbit, right? So the intersection between the other keywords that we're looking at and Fitbit is what you're seeing here. And that's a fair number of keywords have got a fairly large circle. So they're fairly related. Fitbit obviously is going to be related to itself. iPhone, there's a huge overlap between iPhone and Fitbit. Now, the iPhone market itself might be huge, and we're not looking at it Fitbit to iPhone, we're looking at it iPhone to Fitbit, right? So how much of the Fitbit market deals with iPhones? And that's a fairly good size intersection, because then you've got some really small things over here like wristband and connections and app store.
What's the green dot?
Fine question. So the green dot, this indicates that it's got a really strong buying cycle. It's toward the end of the buying cycle, and that's a Fitbit Charge 2. And I would say yes, if you're doing a keyword search for that, you're probably looking to buy it. So, so I just want to take a quick look at the keywords here. You've got some that are just hugely broad, like health, Google.
That's what's pushing the value up, eh?
No, these are probably, all right, so first of all, let me just find Fitbit so that we get an idea of what we're looking at, how many competing pages and those kinds of things. Where the heck is it? Clearly I need more coffee. There we go. So the number of competing pages are 42 million. So when you're looking at something like video, it's, okay, so this is even harder to see. Services, video, top, news, all of those things are gray. And that means those are ancestor keywords. They're several layers up in the in terms of market. This is where I wanted to have a couple of graphics. By the next time we have one of these, I'll have some graphics that help explain what's going on. So like, if you take a look at Fitbit as being, what did I say?
42 million.
42 million. So then one entire step up from that is going to be 420 million, right? So that's the next layer up in terms of market share. So if Fitbit is a market, then the market that encompasses that would be around 500 million pages. So let me just see if I can find one of those really quickly here.
Services?
I think services are going to be too broad. 500 million pages. Recipes, interestingly enough. So the reason that these are getting kind of tangent is because it's looking for something, and this is the most relevant that's in that space of competing pages, which is fascinating. But I can see a relationship between recipes and Fitbit if I stop and think about it.
Sarah uses one of those. She does a lot of CrossFit, and they use those smartwatches, and they're always on about different recipes to fit in with their training routines.
Yeah, exactly.
And the technology just tracks their progress.
Exactly. And so then the next level up from 500 million pages is going to be 4 billion pages, right? So so things like services and Google and those kinds of things, they're not actually counted as part of the theme because they're so many magnitudes larger than the actual keyword that we drilled into. But if you're looking to try and figure out what market Fitbit sits in, it offers you those kinds of keywords so that you can see that. So you've got video, you've got top, you've got news, services, Google, and like App Store actually is just a parent. It's not a grandparent. But it's
okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, grandparents is actually a good terminology, Sue, when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
So if the child's the one we drill into, it's got his parents and then it's got his grandparents.
Exactly.
As different steps back.
Exactly. So you're looking at generations larger in the market, and so we give you a smattering of those. We give you those as closely related as possible, but it's interesting to find out that the relationship isn't terribly close. I would have anticipated something like health showing up, and I find it really fascinating that terms like that didn't actually show up. Well, oh no, health did show up. It's just not big enough to be a grandparent. It's just a parent. All right. Sleep. Interesting. So it's just that pervasive a term that in order to get to grandparents, you're getting really, really, really super broad. News, things like that. All right. So that gives me kind of an idea of where we are with the Fitbit market, which
what is the buying cycle on Fitbit, Sue? Because that basically, if we look at that number, that can help us determine how close they are to the buying cycle at that actual specific keyword. So what we got there, 44. So they're really nearly halfway through the buying cycle.
You know,
people that type of term in.
So here's the interesting thing. Like if you look at Fitbit devices, wristband, Fitbit Flex wristband, that's starting to get a little bit more specific, but most of the things that are under 30 are really pretty broad. I find that the things that are really close to the end of the buying cycle are like 80s and above. Some markets it's 70 and above, but as I look at these, I'm thinking like, yeah, there's really not too much. This is really the only keyword that I would say is toward the end of the buying cycle.
And this is a scale of 0 to 100, correct?
It is, yes.
Yes.
Now,
It's quite interesting that people are interested in buying actual stock for the company Fitbit. If you look at the stocks, how much searches there are and how close it is to the buying cycle.
Yeah.
well, and what you're also starting to see is like when the Fitbit Flex band, or where it's talking about the wristband part of it.
Uh-huh.
That's an accessory. That's an app. Yeah, the Fitbit Flex wristband.
Yep.
The Flex is a model of Fitbit, but they are aftermarket wristbands.
Mm-hmm.
So, that could be showing that there are aftermarket add-ons and modifications, and people are looking around.
Yeah, so one of the things that we look at when we're determining what the buying cycle is the amount of pay-per-click traffic versus the amount of daily searches. So in other words, if most of your traffic is pay-per-click traffic, if they're hitting ads, then it's like, well, clearly those people are looking to actually buy something. So the fact that you've got the daily searches with a fairly small percentage of pay-per-click traffic justifies this rather low buying cycle number, which makes me think that people are looking for reviews, or there's somebody in the organic SERPs close to the top that is just grabbing all the traffic. It's interesting. So I started off by diving right down into a particular theme and looking at some keywords. Let's back all the way up to the cluster for a minute and kind of go through this in a way that might make a little bit more sense. I think before I've talked a little bit about these pies up here, but I'll just touch on them again briefly. So we talked about TSMV a minute ago, and ORV is a similar kind of a thing. It's organic rank value. TSMV, the difference between TSMV and organic rank value is just looking at the traffic that you would get off of the organic rank, where TSMV is your total search market value. We look at the amount of traffic that you would get both off of searches and off of pay-per-click traffic. So when you're looking here at the ORV, here we've got the domains ranked by ORV for all of the keywords in this cluster. So when you look at that, you've got Fitbit.com, which just completely dominates the market at 25%. Past that, you've got Reddit, which it's got its bookmarking stuff, and then you've got Wikipedia, and then you've got iTunes. So I find it really interesting that the next really what would you say, like commercial site is iTunes. It's the app stores, right? And you've got Apple.com, and you've got Facebook, you've got Best Buy, which is obviously going to be a source for where you can buy the products that are listed in these themes. CNET, if this, then that.
People pushing recipes.
Yeah, that's a whole different kind of recipe from what we were talking about a minute ago, though.
It's exercise. It's nice for exercise. The guys are stitching. They're pushing their exercise data to all the different types of little schedules and calendars and all that kind of stuff.
That could be.
Yeah, and so what I'm starting to notice, because I've been diving deeper and deeper into it, like back on the other screen, sleep was a keyword.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so if you look at the Fitbit market in correlation with sleep, you'll find out that there's a lot of people that are using Fitbit to track their sleep cycles.
Absolutely.
And they're wanting to have apps and stuff to do that. So with if this then that, they can take the data feeds and put it into Google spreadsheets and things like that. So, when you start looking at this, don't just assume something is a tangent. Now, I'm not sure why Twitch is in there, unless there's like a bunch of health and fitness people that are using Twitch channels to do stuff. But I mean, it's really interesting because what we're starting to see is we're starting to see those tangent and vertical markets where there is a ton of other things we can, you can just sidestep and jump right into another market that complements this, or you can sidestep and build a pin vid, and you're already looking at your WR3.
Yep.
Because of how the market communication is going on.
Yeah. It'll be interesting here in a minute as we dive into the competitive analysis and the market analysis to see what kind of keywords, if this then that, is actually ranking for, as well as some of these other things like Twitch. So the difference between these two pies is that this pie is sliced by organic rank value, and this pie is sliced by the estimated annual search volume. So in other words, you know that the top ranked sites are the ones that get all the traffic, and as you go down the front page, you get fewer and fewer clicks, and as you go onto the second page, the clicks are pathetic. So looking at the keywords that these sites are ranked for and the positions that they're ranked for, you're getting this pie calculated by the estimated traffic, the estimated click-through based off the positions of searches of the keywords, right? Does that make sense? So it's a little bit different because every twice in a while you'll end up with some keywords with significant searches that have a very low cost per click, and then that will get a bigger slice of this pie and a smaller slice of this pie because the searches aren't worth as much. So they got a lot of traffic, but they don't have a lot of buying traffic necessarily. So that's just the differentiation between those two. So from here, so we're looking obviously at this screen from a cluster perspective, and you've got the opportunity to continue looking at the entire cluster, which is one of the features in this version of Krakken that I really, really love. If I click here on keywords now, I'm going to get a look at all of the keywords across all of the clusters, and I get to see how these keywords interrelate with each other. So
Sorry, Sue. Could I just interject there? Because this really confused me in the beginning when this came out. The guys, as soon as you click into a theme, then you move from cluster into the themes, okay? And you can move up and down on those two layers. Could you just explain a bit more on that on the navigation, Sue? Because that was confusing in the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to just do a little bit more here before we got there, but here. So when I'm at this screen, if I click keywords, domains, market analysis, or competitive analysis, I stay at the cluster level. If I click in here to a theme, I've got more or less the same menu, but this menu now is all based off of this particular theme. So now when I click on market analysis, I'm looking at the market analysis for this particular theme. And the way you can kind of keep track of that is we're here. We're in the wireless scales theme, and we're looking at market analysis versus if I come back here to the cluster level and I click into market analysis, you can see I'm here at the cluster market analysis. So I'm going to have Scott color the pages a little bit differently so that you can more quickly see when you're at the cluster level versus the theme level, but that's the difference between the navigation. All right, so back at the keyword level, come on, keywords. Wow.
I love that chart.
I do too, but I saw something fly all the way up at the top, and it's gone. I can't reach it. And now it's gone off the bottom.
These are really cool too, because you can really see where and how the themes are connected.
There it is.
And then that one little tangent theme off by itself.
Right?
Little snowflake.
So this is smart fitness equipment. And you can see that smart fitness equipment has no connections to any of my other themes. And that's an indication that either it's completely tangent and I should maybe think about getting rid of it, or I haven't drilled into enough concepts to make a connective tissue between everything. So the things that are blue, these are the parent themes, the parent term that each
Was drilled.
drill was drilled, and then these gray ones here that connect between two or more, like we've got this one here that connects like 3 or 4 of them. Wearables is one of those keywords that showed up in several different themes, 3 different themes. So so this is kind of a fun way to see how many connecting keywords, how many keywords and which keywords are they that appeared in multiple themes. I find that to be a useful thing to know when you've got a keyword that's repeating in multiple times. That's a keyword that you kind of want to be aware of.
Well, that could be your one of your silos that you stick into your navigation.
Yeah. And then the dark green, again, these are the keywords that have got a high TSMV, Fitbit charger, iPhone. Well, we don't actually have a, no, we didn't actually put a explanation on this graphic. We'll have to get one in there. Anyway, that's what the fun little graphic is up at the top. You've got your basic stats for the entire cluster here, the total search market value. I think that's a very large number.
So
Yes.
I'm noticing that some of the dots are green, some of them are really small, some of them are bigger. Can you go into that just a little bit more detail so that there's
No, I
confusion?
was actually looking for the explanation of the graphic, and that was why I said, it's not there. So I could make something up, but I might well be wrong. So I'll just
What's the
leave
green
it for
one?
right now.
Because we might be able to go back
Well,
and look at the other one.
I'm pretty sure that the green always means money. I try to keep that color coding the same. So I'm pretty sure that the more green it is, the larger the TSMV or the ORV, as it looks like is the case. And probably the size of the dot are the number of competing pages, but I'm not sure. So the fun thing about this screen is that you're looking at all of the keywords from all of the clusters in one fell swoop. And there's still a couple of things. This is why we're not actually in, we haven't gone live with this product yet. I don't have things like being able to sort by these columns here yet, but that's coming soon. So we can look down here, we can see what we've got in terms of buying cycles. And wow, just a lot of wearables at a 60, bathroom scales at a 52. A lot of really low numbers. We don't have a whole lot of extremely large numbers there. You can look down and see the Larry. That's what you were asking about before, Matt. This is the how relevant the keyword was to the original keyword that it was drilled into. The market share, which is an idea of how of all of the pages that are being talked about with the parent themes, how many of them are actually, what percentage is actually being talked about, what percentage of them actually have Reddit or actually have Fitbit on them.
So have you added a theme for Fitbit apps to see
No.
if it'll pull up anything different?
No, I haven't.
Because I'm just seeing a lot of things like BMI, which that could tie into like an odometer app, and things like that. Just from me from a marketing perspective, looking at the terms showing up, stocks and things like that showing up means invest. You could, if you're putting a wiki in talking about the web rings. Investor relations and putting the information in about the market, could become relevant. And just from the marketing perspective, there's just tons of gold in Krakken.
Yeah.
And this is where it goes back to what Matt was saying. if you dive down the rabbit hole too far, the Kraken will grab you and it will drag you to the depths, and you'll just have to get
Yeah,
a room in Davy Jones's locker.
yeah. Just I think the key to that, guys, is less is more. In this instance with Kraken, you don't have to drill out 150 themes. Just stay focused and drill out less themes, and you'll get a better story.
But yeah,
And I've done that.
I would drill a minimum of 10 and preferably up
Yes.
around 20 in order
Yeah.
to really get a good feel for the market, unless you're in a very small niche. Um, you're not going to get you're not really taking advantage of Kraken unless you've drilled at least 10 keywords.
Yeah.
All right, so that's an idea of what you can see on the keyword screen. Let's go to the market analysis screen for a second. So here you can see, now again, this is for the entire cluster. You're taking a look at the market, the way the market lays out for the cluster. So we rank the domains here based off of their ORV, right? Their organic rank value, their quote real unquote organic rank value, which is the searches times the cost per click. So it's not just the searches times the cost per click, but it's their position in the SERPs for these keywords. So if they're in the #1 position, then let's say that they get 60% of the searches for that particular keyword. If they're in the #2 position, they get maybe 20% of the searches, that kind of an idea. So we take those positions, we multiply them by the estimated amount of click-throughs per position for that keyword, and then we multiply it by the value of the keyword, and that's how you get this yearly ORV. So Fitbit just wins out, and I'm just curious as all get out. If you click through to Fitbit, you're going to see all of the keywords that they rank for. You're going to see what they rank for on Yahoo and Google. And at the moment, I've just got Yahoo and Google here. Yahoo and MSN are starting to pull further and further apart in terms of their results. But, you know, up until that, we did most of the coding for this just about a year ago. And at that point, Yahoo and MSN were still really, really close. So we'll probably add MSN here somewhere in the next 6 months or so. So we've got Yahoo, we've got Google, we've got the yearly searches, we've got the yearly ORV. So you can see exactly what keywords out of this entire cluster Fitbit is ranking for. And this is where I personally think things get really kind of interesting.
So are those daily or monthly searches? Or is it total in a year?
These are yearly searches.
Yearly. Okay.
Yearly searches and yearly ORV. So it's interesting in that they have gotten into the Wi-Fi scale with the ARIA product. Fitbit, they're in position #1, which they should be because this is their brand, and position #6. However, for wireless scales, they're in position #11 and position #17. So just given the dominance that Fitbit's got, I'm rethinking my strategy from yesterday, just knowing how big of a player Fitbit is in the market now. Fascinating. Wireless scale, smart scale, ARIA, that's the brand again, that's fine. Wi-Fi scale, Wi-Fi weight scale. Interesting. They've got quite a few keywords that have come back so far. I don't know how well I would say that I've really, I've only got like 7 drills, so I should really drill into another 7 terms or so. Bathroom scale, or Bluetooth scales, they're at position #5. Interesting. That's Google, right? Yeah, so Google's got them at position #18, and Yahoo doesn't think they're worth ranking at all for bathroom scale. Fascinating. Smart scales. And then obviously the wristbands. I mean, I expected them to have, I'm shocked they're not smartwatch. They don't have better terms there. Better rankings there. All right, so an activity tracker. It's just really interesting. Okay, so from this, what I'm putting together is an idea of the kind of marketing that they're attacking, just from the keywords that they're ranking for and the keywords that they're not ranking for. I'm getting a better feel for what the size of their footprint is in the market, because obviously Fitbit is the Kleenex of the smart band worlds, right? All right. So let's go back a second. We were looking at competitors. We're here in the market analysis section. I'm just dying to know why Reddit. What is going on Reddit?
It's going to be people talking about the application or the hardware, probably in groups, like fitness groups or fan groups, and it could be like a lot of links driving traffic.
So Yahoo doesn't believe that they should be ranked for anything at all. And Google is not giving them really high rankings for most things. Home gym, in fact, the rankings are pretty pathetic, like not front page for a lot of things. So what I see there is that they've got low rankings for quite a number of terms, and that's why they came up as a worthy competitor, just because they covered a lot of bases, not so much because they're in any kind of a strong position anywhere. Wikipedia, let's just see. So what Wikipedia is going to tell me is how many of these terms are educational type terms, are info type terms, and how many of these keywords that I would have considered to be possibly more commercial terms is Wikipedia actually squatting on. So when I look at this, these are all pretty broad. Apple Watch, I'm surprised that they're there for that. But BMI, e-commerce, connections, iPod Touch, body fat percentage, all of those keywords, they make sense that Wikipedia would have some kind of a presence on all of those terms. Smartwatch is very broad. And then you got smartwatch Android, which Yahoo's given them credit for, but Google has ignored. Yeah, and then so things like Fitbit Aria, they're down on page 4. Body weight exercise, that makes sense. All of that makes sense. The smartwatch, they get position 1 for the smartwatch. That's fascinating. Yeah, okay. So, Wi-Fi skills review. Yeah, Yahoo gives them position 3. All right, so there's not really too many surprises here. I would look at those and say, yeah, they're all educational terms that Wikipedia is ranking for, so it's not like... So that tells me two things, because every twice in a while I'll stumble across a niche where Wikipedia's got pretty good rankings for what I would consider commercial terms, and that means that there's not a lot of commercial competition. So what this is telling me, because Wikipedia is not owning any of the significant commercial terms, there's a fair amount of actual competition, actual commercial competition that has pushed Wikipedia off of the top ranking positions. So that's intriguing. iTunes, let's just go see how many keywords iTunes has actually cornered. That's all page 1 and page 2. iOS apps, Fitbit data, Garmin Connect, Bluetooth scales. Position 5 for Bluetooth scales. Pebble smartwatch, Smart Cam, Jawbone, Fitbit, position 2. So the app's in position 2. That would make sense. Fitbit was in position 1, and iTunes is in position 2. All right. No real surprise there, but it's good to know that most of those are second page. What's that?
if you created an app, you could basically outpush the guys in that iTunes place if you got more downloads
Well, that would be
as a way
hard.
for driving.
Like, if you're talking about Fitbit, that would be a hard thing to. You're not going to knock them off of number one, but you could definitely compete.
Oh no, I was just thinking of using iTunes as a place to drive traffic because they're already in number
Possibly.
2. So when they click on that link, they're going to hit the Play Store or the App Store, and then from the App Store, it's basically you against other apps. So the competition is much easier than trying to outrank Apple.
True, but I think when people are actually looking to figure out what it is that they want to buy, I don't think that they're looking at iTunes for purchase ideas. So I think
Sure, no, I appreciate that.
by the time they hit iTunes, they've already purchased something. But it was more,
Yeah.
I was just intrigued to see what kind of positioning iTunes was holding, because that tells me which apps are really popular and how many apps there are, like how saturated is the market with apps, kind of, sort of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So iTunes has got a fair number of front page, page one rankings, but it's just a fair number. It's not a whole heap, and they're super specific for keywords that make sense to me. So no real surprise there. Apple.com. Let's see how big a chunk they have. So this pie indicates what they could have, and the green indicates what they actually have, the realized. So this is the ORV, and this is the searches. They've got almost 10% of the ORV, and they've got almost 13% of the searches. So they are leaving a lot of money on the table in terms of searches. I mean, they've got their brands. They're ranking for their brands, but just in terms of like things like smartwatches,
Well, if you think about Apple, those people are so loyal to the brand that they wouldn't probably buy Fitbit, they'll buy the Apple smartwatch rather.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they're not ranking for more of the general terms. They're really only ranking, like the smartwatch, like they're at the bottom of page one. The best you can say is that they're at the bottom of page one, and mostly they're on page 2, page 3, or they just don't exist at all. And so I'm looking at the number of keywords that they could have cornered and didn't. Like, not even. So when you think about Apple.com, it's got a really high domain authority. If they were targeting those keywords at all, they would own them. They would at least come somewhere decent on the Richter scale. So they're not even after those keywords, which I find fascinating. I just gotta wonder about their marketing strategy. All right. Facebook. I imagine that Facebook is going to be similar to Reddit in terms of, yeah, they're up there for some really weird, broad things. And page 2, page 3 for everything else. Okay.
CNET will be quite interesting. I'm sorry, Best Buy.
Yeah. So Best Buy, you would expect Best Buy to be ranking for the actual products themselves. Smartwatches, iPod. Yep. So you've got like the product categories. They're ranking reasonably decent. They're on the front page for all of the product categories. They could do a little bit better, but they're not bad. Bluetooth scales, position number 4. They could do better, but they're not bad. It's reasonably decent. wearable technology. So my thinking, just from looking at this, is that probably, I mean, I'm going to have to dig into the terms that I really want in killer keywords to see where I want to be, but my guess is a lot of those broad terms are going to be fairly difficult. So CNET's going to be reviews and things like that. And you get exactly those kinds of things that you're looking, that I was thinking. Again, you're getting the same kind of broad category terms. They're ranking really high. I find it interesting that the reviews are ranking much higher than places like Best Buy, Smart Scales, and things like that. That's fascinating. So that means either, wow, they corner a lot of keywords. Just a whole bunch of, basically the whole market. What kind of keywords are they not ranking for? There's a few things like Bluetooth, scales, and stuff like that that I would have thought they would have ranked for. Wi-Fi skills reviews. I would have thought they would get some of these. So either they haven't done any reviews in some of these areas, or scales. Man, I just keep like looking at that and thinking that maybe the whole scale thing is just really an emerging market. All right, so I want to move on to competitive analysis at this point. We covered the top 10, so I want to come over here. So the competitive analysis, that was like market analysis where you're looking at who owns what in the market, and then you dig in and you look at what chunk each domain owns and where they're at. So competitive analysis is similar but different in that here on this screen we're actually looking at putting one competitor up against another. So wow. All right, so the darker the orange, the more the SERP saturation. So these guys, YouTube, obviously, Wikipedia, pretty good SERP saturation. They cover a lot of different keywords, PC Magazine, Walmart.com, CNET. And then the larger the dot, the more relevant pages. So you might get somebody who's, well, in this, we've drilled into enough things, you're not going to get a little tiny bright orange dot. You're going to get more of these wearable.com, you're going to get these mid to large size, medium orange size dots. But when you've just got a couple of themes in here, you might get the occasional really small bright orange dot. So here we've got, like, this is where people rank in terms of the same rank that we were looking at. It was organized by rank over here in the market analysis, and this screen is ordered by something entirely else, which is neither coming to mind nor popping to the front of the screen. Fascinating. All right. The multiplier is a really difficult thing for me to explain. I haven't figured out how to explain that well yet. It has to do with how we determine what their rank is. It's got to do with their whole where they're ranking and how many searches each one of those keywords has, that kind of an idea. It's not really a hugely useful term except for verifying that the rank is right. SERP saturation, this is across all of the keywords. what percent of the exposure, basically, do these domains have in terms of SERPs? So wearables.com, it only ranks for a very small percentage of keywords. Wearable.com, a whole lot more keywords. Reddit, a medium number of keywords. Wikipedia, a whole bunch of keywords. Just looking to see if there's anybody on this list. So nobody's got a huge majority of the keywords. So we looked already at Wikipedia. We can click through here. You're going to see a similar kind of a screen here. This is just about Wikipedia. Topic specificity. So, really? Oh, comment would be. Every single page has probably got comment on it. Creative, ink, watch phone. All right, so we don't have any interesting keywords because Wikipedia is just so broad. You're not going to have anything of any interest in this list. It's going to have a good topic specificity. But this gives you an idea of, let's go look at somebody else. Hang on, let's start with somebody else. Let's look at wearable.com. All right, so topic specificity for Fitbit, for example. So this means when we're looking at Fitbit, they've got they have 5,390 relevant pages. I'm trying to figure out how topic specificity is more than 100% because I was thinking it was a scale of 1 to 100. All right, I'll have to ask Kelly about that. Anyway, yeah, if I don't know what the topics, let's just say for a minute that it's at 100%. That would mean that the relevant pages, 5,400 relevant pages, they would have 5,400 pages on their site that are about the term Fitbit, which would make sense. I have to make a note. I'm sorry. That's just too crazy. All right. So, so they've got 920 pages that talk about Garmin Vivo Smart, and their SERPs ranking is page 5. So this kind of helps you to see how much content they've actually got around this particular idea and how that's helped them to rank, right? So this isn't, the one thing that I'll say about this is that these pages are not, you don't try to analyze what you need to do in order to rank. That's specifically what the deep inspection drill is over in Killer Keywords. These pages are just for you to understand what your competition is doing and give you an idea of what you're going to need to do to compete, not what you're going to need to do to rank. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Good. So I find that fascinating. You can see I'm about halfway down the page here, and they've got a good number of pages on all of these topics. Wearable.com. I have to know how many pages there are on Wearable. So there's 5,700 pages on Wearable. So out of the 5,700 pages on Wearable, almost all of them talk about smartwatches, and almost all of them talk about Fitbit and Fitbit Tracker That's fascinating.
That could be coming from the navigation, if you think about it.
Probably. I have to take a look at the site. Yeah, they've got Fitbit Flex too, Fitbit Charge too. Yeah, that's why they've got it on all the pages. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it looked like a site. It looked like a site-wide trend or pattern there.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got both menus on all the pages. Hmm. All right. So that's wearable.com. Let's look at Pebble. Pebble doesn't have anything. 3 keywords. Very small number of relevant pages. And so that's why the SERP saturation here is 0.6. I have to wonder about the SERP saturation now too. I got to validate that that's being calculated the way that I think it is. PC Magazine, Best Buy. Let's take a look at Best Buy and see what they've got. Smartwatch. So that's a lot of relevant pages for smartwatch. You got to figure that that's probably in the menu for at least part of the site too, because it's 50% or maybe 25%. All right. A lot of pages with a lot of content.
Well, most of these stores would be like e-commerce stores. There's going to be probably a lot of product pages if you think about it.
Oh yeah,
With
absolutely.
specific things. So it makes sense. It's almost like e-commerce you're dealing with in a way.
Well, and if they're like Amazon, which I haven't been to Best Buy in a long time, so let's just go take a quick look here. But if it's like Amazon, each one of their reviews are technically on their own, a separate page. So if we look at like Fitbit, go away. And we come in here to this one. We've got 2,347 reviews.
And 158 items.
Yeah, exactly. So, while the reviews, man, they could be, well, I suppose if a review is short, then, oh, they've only got a handful on 8 of them on a page, and then it goes to another page with another URL. Fitbit, 49,8,397. No, that didn't change. It's just everything past the question mark changed. All right. So they're not doing the same thing that Amazon does. Those are all products that they've got on different pages. All right. That's interesting. So that's basically, oh, the one other thing that you can do on this level is if I've got my domain up and rocking, which I don't yet, but I can put my domain name in here. And this is great if you've got a client. You can stick your client's domain in here. We should have put somebody who would be, trying to think of how I can find a competitor. Anyway, you can put your client in here and it'll come back and show how much of the market for these keywords in these clusters your client has acquired. And that's a great way to show your client exactly how much money they're leaving on the table, because
Yeah.
you know, we only do like the top 20 domains. So most domains are not going to make it in this list. And you'll be able to see them under both competitive analysis and market analysis. And you can see exactly, like there'll just be another entry down here with pathetically low numbers, and you can close clients just on that.
Yeah, because you'll see the footprints that they leave behind and how focused their marketing actually is in relation to the entire theme or cluster.
Exactly. So the exports at the moment, Patrick asked, right this second, the only thing you can do is export the keywords so that, obviously, so you can stick them in Domain Web Studio or Network Empire Builder, but also just to get a list of the keywords. Everything else, all of that's pending. We should have progress on that within the next 30 days. I'd love to say by the end of the month, but I'm not sure exactly how far we'll get by the end of the month. But at least by Valentine's Day. That'd be a good Valentine's Day present, huh? To have all of the little finishing touches on Kraken so that we can sort everything and export everything and do all of that kind of stuff. So John asked, how do you decide when to keep a theme? He asked two questions. How do you decide when to keep a theme and when to throw a theme away? Let me come back here to the theme screen for a moment where we had those things that kind of... The keyword screen is actually where I wanted to be. I look here, and when I've got somebody that's kind of astray over here, that's my first concept that I might want to throw smart fitness equipment away. The second thing is when I come in here to competitive analysis, if I've got somebody in here, or market analysis, either one of them, if I've got somebody in here that's just like totally not right. Oh, if this then that. Did we look at them? I don't think we did. So let's look at if this then that. So we've got Reddit, we've got Fitbit, Jawbone. So sometimes what you'll see, you come into a competitor that sounds weird, and you'll look and you'll see that the keywords that they're ranking for are just totally not keywords that you really want. And that's when you know you want to get rid of the theme that's got those keywords, because they've brought a competitor that's not appropriate into the marketplace, into the market analysis, and you want them out. But, you know, if this and that is ranking pretty much for, it's a small number of keywords, but it's keywords that are actually appropriate. So they were also ranking for keywords that aren't particularly appropriate, but I don't think that they're the reason why those keywords are here. So
I would blow them away.
Blow who away?
If this and that.
You can't.
I'll have to look at that.
Well, you can't blow a competitor away. What I was talking about is that's an indication when I want to get rid of a theme. So
yeah. It's probably that smart. No, I'm thinking about something else. No, I was thinking that tangent on the side. Could that be bringing it in?
The tangent on where?
When we looked at that chart and we saw that one of smart fitness equipment.
Sorry. We can go back and take a look at that theme and just see what's there. Yeah, this brought in some really weird keywords. Software engineers, raise money online. Some of these things, exercise equipment, fitness equipment, those aren't so hard, so bad. But it did bring in a lot of those keywords that I wondered where they came from. Folding electric. Yeah, I would probably get rid of that theme. Mostly I drilled into it because I wanted to see, I wanted to look at the relevant keywords that it would bring back. I wanted to see if there were other keywords that might fit into our bundle somehow that I wasn't aware of. Yeah. All right. Any other questions that I missed along the way?
I think we got most of them, Sue.
All right. So then let me come back here for a second, and I'll just kind of go over the last part. So I've gone through keywords, domains, market analysis, and competitive analysis. And as I said, in doing that, we're looking at the entire cluster. So now if I come down here into, let's say, smartwatch. So now I'm looking at just the keywords in smartwatch, which are going to be a much smaller list of keywords, and they're going to be obviously specific to smartwatch as opposed to some of the others. You've got the graphics that apply to just this theme, the dark green being buying cycle, the larger ones having a large market share. So you've got wearables, Samsung smartwatch, Pebble smartwatch, some of those kinds of things that are interesting. But then as you come over here to competitive analysis and market analysis, these competitors are just about this one theme. They're just about this keyword and this one theme. They're the same screens, but you're looking at it much more granularly. You're looking at who the top competitors are and how the market breaks out for just this set of keywords, just this one particular theme. So it's the same kind of concept. It's the same kind of analysis, but you're just getting really granular at that subsection of keywords. And that's really where I think this is cool, because it allows me to take a specific look at what might end up being a silo or some other, either even a category on my silo structured blog, so that I'm just looking at that one subsection and I can see how the market breaks out. I can see who my top competitors are. I can see how competitive they are in this particular marketplace, because I might find, for example, we looked at Best Buy before. I might find that when I look at Best Buy, that they're number 12 here as opposed to being like number 7 or so on the entire cluster. So they're not nearly as strong in this particular theme as they were cluster-wide, which is a fascinating concept. And I can look here and I can see just in this one particular segment of this market how they stack up against the other competitors. So it gives me, it's like being able to zoom in to that level of the market and just take a look at what's going on there, and then I can zoom all the way back out to the cluster level. So, oh, there's one more thing I want to show you. When we're here at the competitive analysis and we come in here to a particular keyword and there's a keyword here, I can click on this keyword and then I can see also who all is ranked for all of the positions. So wearables has got position 1 and 2. This is for wearables keyword. They've got position 1 and 2. Digital Trends has got position 3. Wikipedia's got position 5. And I can see what the rank authority is, which is a combination of domain authority and page authority, a weighted combination. I can see the DA, the PA, the topic specificity, wearable.com. All of the pages of wearable.com are about the keywords that are in this theme. I can see what the trust and citation flow is, so I can really get a good feel for how competitive they are within this particular niche in the market. You can do the same kind of thing up on the cluster level. I just forgot to drill all the way into the keywords. So again, don't think of it as a keyword tool. If you want to go like deep diving for that information for domain authority and trust authority of the top ranked sites on a keyword level, and you're thinking about Krakken as a keyword tool, you will beat your head against a wall and you'll find it very frustrating.
Yeah.
It's much easier to just go drill that keyword out over in keywords and then do a deep inspection on it.
Yeah, I tend to find that I use Kraken to get the top level ideas of the market, and then when I've got my targets, I go to keywords and I say, okay, how do I attack these guys?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I go about doing it at drilling.
And I've seen this asked a couple of times, and we've answered this question on other webinars even. Is how do you use Kraken for local? It's not for local, but it's also not for national. It's for the market.
Exactly.
So what you have to do is you have to change the way you're thinking about it. What you're trying to think is you're trying to think of a specific business in a specific location. Kraken's not focusing like that. Kraken is letting you look at a market and see the flow of the cash flow within the market. That's not location based. That is just how people work in the world around them. It's how they interact in the world around them. So what it's doing is it's showing you that flow. Now, what you do is here's where this becomes a powerhouse. Okay. Once you understand that, you can then take the phrases from the different levels of the buying cycle. The informational phrases at the top of the funnel, the more topical specific phrases in the middle, and then those that are really close to the end of the buying cycle, turn them into pain points, and then go drill them in keywords. That's where you start getting location based, when you get into the deeper down. But what you've just done is you've built the strategy by looking at the market like this to where you're able to path people through straight to the money from brand awareness all the way down to making a deal.
Right.
And closing sales.
Right.
So that's what we're doing here is Kraken lets you see the market so that you know how to path them from brand awareness to cash in the bank. No,
Yeah.
and it's the only tool out there that does that in the digital realm. It's a gold mine. I love this tool.
So somebody asked, is Kraken international or national? And it's when you go to create a cluster, you choose the country/country language combination that you need for the market that you're going to be looking at. So if you're trying to market something in 2 or 3 different countries, you're going to want to do 2 or 3 clusters. And then, so once you set it for the United States, the UK, whatever, then everything that you put in that cluster is going to be for that geolocation. And the reason we do that is because otherwise you're mixing apples and oranges, right? You've got radically different target markets. The other thing that I will say in terms of like when you're looking at market analysis, when you're doing market analysis, so the whole idea that we started exploring the last 3 or 4 days of digital scales, smart scales actually, and the possibility of doing a bundle of a smart scale and a smart band, all of that is pretty new to me. I don't have any prior knowledge to a smart scale at all. And I mean, I've heard about Fitbits for a long time. I know a lot of people who have Fitbits. They talk about what they can do. So I've got a basic understanding of that, but I haven't delved into the market research at all. So I'm going to drill into these. I'll probably do another 12 drills before I'm done. And I'll show you here in a second how I'm going to figure out which keywords I'm going to drill into. But I'm going to come here and I'm going to look at the ideas that the drills that I already did brought back, because they were just basically some keywords that I had off the top of my head. And I'm going to find other ideas that I might not have thought about before that are relevant. And I can tell they're relevant because the average Larry is telling me, the average Larry, the average market share, those things are saying, hey, wow, this fitness tracker is an particularly appropriate keyword. And so if that's got something to do with the USP of one of the products that I'm thinking about selling, or not even the USP, but just a feature of one of the products that I'm thinking about selling, well, then I'm going to go drill into that and find out, like, who are the competitors there? Like, what's the story? I would say that that's what Kraken does, is it tells me a story about what's going on. So, shoot, I really need for this, I've got to go back on a theme-by-theme basis. Hang on. Back in here to my bundle, and back in here to a specific theme. Come on, baby. So the equipment one, as a for instance, there's two keywords that this brought back. I drilled into this specifically to see what were the keywords that I might want to explore and drill into. Not that this was particularly a theme that I wanted to keep. So I've got like body weight exercise. I've got Strive fitness equipment. I have no idea who those people are. I've got some keywords like, well, I think exercise equipment, fitness equipment, that's all way too generic. I've seen this keyword 2 or 3 times. I have no idea what that is. So pretty much what this is going to do is it's going to make me ask some questions. And I'm going to go off and I'm going to look at some keywords. Oh, I have seen that device. I saw that earlier today. I didn't know what it was. Now I know what it is. So that's got nothing to do with what I'm selling. So that is what I would do. I come in here and it helps me understand the market better. Smart fitness equipment, that's the keyword I drilled into. Smart fitness, that's just a substring of that. That's not really. Portable treadmills is an interesting idea, but not really what I want to sell. So, all right, so now I've looked at this whole list and there's not really any keywords here that I'm interested in. So I can throw that theme away and not be any the worse for it. So let me come down here into Smart Scale. I explored already before, but Wi-Fi scale is a new theme. And actually the whole idea, I didn't even think yesterday that Wi-Fi was an option on a scale. Like that's something that's just come to my awareness. I thought that the scale had to talk to the watch, and then the watch has got to talk to my phone, and then, but you know, obviously there are quicker ways to get to the internet. So now I'm intrigued with that idea, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look to see if there's other things that, like blood pressure monitor. I saw that somebody else was selling a bundle with a scale with a blood pressure monitor. And so those are the kinds of things where I'm in market research mode and I'm in trying to understand my market, and I'm in trying to understand what themes I want to drill into. So these things are literally, right now this is sorted by cost per click. The other thing that I would sort by are searches. And typically speaking, what I want to do is I'm going to take the first, out of the first 10 keywords, I'm going to grab at least 5 of them if they're particularly pertinent to the market that I want to attack. So Gammon Connect, if that's got something to do, probably not. Fitbit, Smart Home, Gammon Forerunner, Bathroom Scale. Interesting. Wi-Fi scale, which is what this is, right? Yep, we're on Wi-Fi scale. Body scale, fitness accessories. Fascinating. Actually, not as many keywords here as I thought there were going to be. Now I'm already down into very few searches per day. So searches per day is not really netting me anything. Cost per click. Now, smart home isn't something that I've drilled into yet. I kind of think it's not going to be anything. I know more about smart homes, and I can't think of too much that's going to be in there that I'm really interested in. This is a lot of Garmin and a lot of Fitbit, a lot of very brand-specific stuff, unfortunately. Head scale, body scale, fitness accessories. I might try something like smart fitness accessories. See if that brings me back anything interesting. All right, so that's cost per click and that's searches. Neither one of those things are bringing me back too much. Let's look at market share. Blood pressure monitor. Well, that's really interesting. Wi-Fi scale and blood pressure monitor, those are really like, that's really fascinating. Because I only found one bundle. Of course, there's only 3 bundles, but that's beside the point. I only found one bundle that had the blood pressure monitor with it, so I'm really shocked that that's got that much of a market share. So this is just not bringing me back. TSMV is the last thing that I'm going to sort by to see if there's something here that I would want to drill into. And I'm just not finding too much in this entire theme that's really stuff that I want to drill into. But I do that same kind of an idea with everything that I've got so far. Scales, what about a smart scale? And that's how I discover the market, right? The ideas that are contained within the market. Because the first thing that I need to do is understand all of the ideas. And then once I understand the ideas, I'm looking to understand the competition and the market. And then that's pretty much Krakken. That's what Krakken tells me, are those kinds of concepts. Then I have an idea of, between that and what we talked about yesterday with the ISDNA, doing the what the heck are you selling, and looking at your competitors, and specifically at your competitors' offerings, and dissecting those things and taking that away. When I have done all of that, I have a pretty good idea of how I want to structure my website. I know what the pain points are. We looked at that in Pain Finder. I've analyzed the market here. So I've got a pretty good, everything pretty much set in my head for how I'm going to walk away and start to create my website. And so now as I start to create my website, I'm going to switch over to keywords, which is one of the things that we'll do next Tuesday, and actually start drilling into keywords to look at how competitive the keywords are that I want to tackle and which way of expressing those ideas I want to use as the primary target terms for my website. Give me a 1 if all of that makes sense to you guys, or if I've lost you in that sort of a summary of what we've done here for the last hour, last couple of days.
Awesome. Everybody seems to be getting it.
Brilliant.
Guys, let me ask a question. With all that we've shown you with Kraken, and Matt and Sue, y'all have done a phenomenal job at going through this. Do y'all give me a 3 if you can see why Kraken is an absolute gold mine that can set you apart from everybody else out there, and give me a 5 if you're still kind of fuzzy on it. Wall of threes. Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Exactly, Nick. Shows you the money that people are leaving on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, if you think about it this way, everyone else out there that's doing digital marketing, that's doing SEO, they're looking at it from a keyword viewpoint. You're not looking at it from a keyword viewpoint. You're looking at it from a market viewpoint and letting the buying cycle dictate what you take and then do keyword research on. So by letting the ROI and business metrics, think of how different that is. You're letting the business metrics dictate where you start. That's just not done in this industry outside of Network Empire. I have met so few people that even comprehend that within this industry. That's why this is a hard thing to kind of vibe with. It's why it's hard for some people to come in and really get a grasp of what Kraken does, because this is so different than what you've been taught and shown in the past.
Well, so let me also be very, yeah, and let me be really specific in my takeaways from today, because they're still kind of in my head and I don't know that I've really expressed them. So let me come back here to all of the themes, and yeah, and back down here to the market analysis. So in these drills that I've drilled into, what I walk away knowing now that I didn't know before is that Fitbit super dominates this market. And And aside from Fitbit itself, you've got Best Buy, that is the major e-commerce player. Out of all of the people who could have been the e-commerce players in the fitness industry, I'm a little surprised that Best Buy is the only person that we see in the top 10. We've got CNET, which does a lot of reviews and has ads. So in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm going to be doing ads on CNET. You've got CNET, which is a major voice in this market. And you've got Reddit. Not any of the other bookmarking places. You've got Reddit and you've got Facebook that are the two major social media players in this market. So now I know who my top competitors are. I've got an idea of where I need to have social voice, and I've got an idea of where I can put some paid advertising. And I know I have a good idea of how strong my strong competitors are, what it's going to take energy-wise, not money-wise, but energy-wise. I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take for me to enter the marketplace and how much effort it's going to take for me to have a major footprint in this market. Like, am I going to come in, if I have a budget of, I don't know, let's say $20,000 for the next 12 months, how much of this market can I anticipate owning? Like, how big of a chunk, how big of that piece of a pie can I anticipate getting? And now I have an idea of what my heavy-hitting keywords are and how competitive, like how many pages, the sheer number of pages that these sites have got against those keywords. And so in my head, I'm starting to formulate, I'm like, okay, SEO is probably not going to be the way that I'm going to go for those top-level keywords, for those category-level keywords. I'm going to be able to come in on long tails, and I'm going to be able to hit things on social media, and I'm going to be able to hit things on paid advertising. So at this point, without going into keywords yet, that's how I've got my marketing strategy starting to accumulate in my head based off of what I've looked at. And that kind of an overview, you can't get in any other tool. No other tool out there gives you the summary information so that you can see all of that stuff that quickly and understand the marketplace. Excellent. Light bulb moments. Good. Good, 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 good. All right. I think it's time for coffee.
Yeah.
It's always time for coffee.
Right? All right. So
Coffee time.
It's all about what level of coffee are you doing. Are you doing that first cup of Death Wish to get you really going? Are you doing that mid-afternoon Valhalla blend? Or
Is that go to bed, babe?
I just got done with an hour and a half of Krakken. Obviously, I'm doing market domination coffee.
Oh, okay. So that would be the reserve barrel blend.
All right, good. So I appreciate you guys, your time, your attention, your feedback, your comments today, this first meeting of the beast. And we'll get some refinements on and be back in a few weeks and do another demo with some of the refinements in a different market so that you guys can see how things shake out in a different way. If somebody's got a market that they would want for me to expose on one of these Krakken webinars, please feel free to put in a help desk ticket and let us know what your thoughts are. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks, team. I'm so glad you guys were here with.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, if not before.
Good night. Good afternoon, everyone. See you later.